who's next? Yeah, who's next?
Welcome to The Climb. All right, this is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you succeed in the music industry. In fact, that's what CLIMB stands for. It's an acronym that stands for Creating Leverage in the Music Business. Having said that, I want to introduce you to my co-host and good friend, Brent Baxter. Brent is an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Lady Annabella, Randy Travis, Joe Nichols, and more. And Brent helps songwriters like you turn pro by teaching the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. You can find Brent at songwritingpro.com, because that's what you want to be, a songwriting pro, songwritingpro.com, as well as some of you may have known him from manvsrow.com, manvsrow.com. He just recently rebranded to make it easier, but we don't want to leave out the people who like the first one. So,
that's right.
How you doing, my friend, Brent?
I'm doing well. Let me introduce y'all to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. It's an innovative artist development company. Not only do they develop and improve your artistry, they also grow and monetize your fan base, creating cash flow. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S. Hey, Johnny. Good to see you, man.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm ready to dive in, and for those of you that are new, because we're blessed to get new listeners every week with every episode. What we do on this is we kind of take turns. 1 week I'll be Johnny Carson, and Johnny will be Ed McMahon, and the next week we switch. Yes. And everyone under 30 just went, what?
I was like, huh?
So what we do is we switch off. So 1 week I'll take the lead, talk more about songwriter, publishing issues, that sort of thing. And then the next week, Johnny, who is, as you gathered from the intro, is a music marketer and businessman and that sort of stuff. He'll talk in his episodes, lead you in that kind of thing. So in other words, if I bore you today, whenever you're listening, hey, stick around next week. Check out a Johnny episode that might be just right up your alley. So we kind of switch, go back and forth. So hopefully keep it interesting, keep it relevant, and broaden what we can talk about, because it takes a lot of different there are a lot of different avenues to create leverage in the music business. So I just want to give that little heads up in case you're new. And if you are new, welcome. Glad you're here.
So your last episode,
yes,
you kind of broke down framing, and we got into your cut with Joe Nichols, which is called Crickets.
Yep.
And now we're going to go deeper into that, yeah?
Yes, my last episode was basically about songwriting decisions, about actually putting you in the writing room when we wrote Crickets, which ended up being the title track to Joe Nichols, which right now is current album on Red Bow Records, Crickets. So that was how we wrote it. This episode, I want to talk about what happened after that. What happened between the writer's room and getting the cut. And kind of study on that, because you know what? If you want to be a songwriting pro, if you want to get cuts, the stuff that happens in between the writing room and the recording studio, that's where the money's made. I mean,
that's where the rubber meets the road.
You can do a lot of stuff right in the writing room, but if you don't do the stuff that happens after the writing room, monetarily, it's not going to make a difference, and vice versa. If you do the stuff wrong, in the writing room, but you do it right afterwards, it's not going to work out the best either. So it takes both. So that's what we're talking about. So these two are kind of in a series. So you want to check out the other one, and you can check out this one as well. But yeah, this is going to be kind of the study of the cut, because cuts are hard to come by. So I'm always interested in, if anyone I know gets a cut, I'm like, how'd you do it? What happened? Tell me. With this,
dude, I'm so excited about this, because I haven't heard this story yet.
This mystical unicorn of an outside cut. Tell me about this, because they're hard to come by, right? And that's the thing. The Joe Nichols thing is an outside cut. I mean, I didn't write it with Joe. I didn't write it with anyone in the circle of influence. It was
that's the definition of an outside cut. Is usually you're right. Like when you wrote with Ruthie, you wrote with Ruthie, right? The cuts that cut on her record, you wrote with the artist.
Yeah, Ruthie Collins on Curb Records. The stuff I have in the hopper for her record, and the one thing that's come out so far, I wrote it with her. That was an inside cut. Okay, it was still not easy to get, but it was a different path than one like Crickets, which was 3 writers in a room trying to write the best song they can and then trying to get it recorded. without all the inside leverage, right? That we're trying to help people create. So
yeah, I want to make sure we define that so we set that up.
So this is how people think it's supposed to work when they get to Nashville. It kind of worked. So there are about 7 kind of different points I've pulled out from this story that I think will help you. And this is not about, celebrating something good that happened to me. This is about what can we glean from this to help you get some of that same success and create your own leverage. Okay, so this is not a victory lap. This is helping you come along. Okay,
right.
So the first thing to kind of point out about this story is value brings opportunity. Okay, so Bill White and Lisa Schaefer are my co-writers on Crickets. All right, so I'd never written with Bill, but Crickets was his idea. I'd written several songs with Lisa. So Bill and Lisa had written several songs together. Okay, so we're getting the little degrees of separation. I've written with Lisa, and Bill's written with Lisa. She's a common denominator. He had this idea for a song called Crickets, which is about those awkward moments of silence, when it's crickets. So
right.
he brought that idea to Lisa. And Bill's a good comedy writer. I mean, he's written comedy for radio stuff, jingles and Ray Stevens cuts and I think Cletus T. Judd cuts and stuff. So he's a good comedy writer. But he brought that idea to Lisa, who's just a really good country writer. And Lisa thought of me for whatever reason. She thought my sense of humor, my storytelling, lyrical sensibilities would be a good fit for the song. So they invited me in. And thank you guys if you're listening. Thank you very much for bringing me in on this idea. So simply put, I was invited in by 2 good writers because they believed I'd add something of value. They didn't need me to write a good song. They've written plenty of good songs individually and together. But there's something with what I do that they thought would bring value to this particular idea. So I didn't try to get on this song. They invited me in. And that's not tooting my own horn. I mean, there have been plenty of times I invite other people in on stuff because of what the value they bring. And I've blogged about this at Songwriting Pro about you win by adding value. What is it that you bring to the party? Like, we want to invite Johnny to the party because he always brings the best cheese dip in the world. So he is always invited to the party, right?
Right.
So that sort of thing. So yeah, there's something that I do that I've started building a reputation for among my circle of writers that, you wanted to write that sort of thing? Brent. Let's call Brent, see if he wants in. I think he'd be good for this.
I got him on speed dial. Hold on.
Oh, he gonna love.
What's up? What's up, man?
And he can help make it better. They weren't doing me a favor. Yeah. They were doing themselves a favor. Right. Anytime I write with someone, I mean, ultimately, they brought me in because they thought I could help them win.
Yeah. And
I was not the savior of the song, and we'll get to that too. I mean, they brought a ton of value. It all worked together. Okay, so I'm not saying, I'm all that. But they invited me in for a reason, right?
But you had a very specific set of skills.
Exactly.
Like Liam Neeson says.
Yes. I can't find a missing sock. He can find his daughter across the planet, but I can maybe figure out what to do with the song idea.
Yeah, you got pen. When you put pen to paper, the world changes.
Well, hopefully. So, all right. So that's the first lesson. All right, you define your value proposition. What is it you do that people are going to want in the room? Find that out, and people, spread that around. Perform that activity, and people start having a reason to think of you and call you when there's an opportunity. All right. So that was an opportunity that came to me because of the work I'd been putting in for years writing songs. All right. So number 2. The lesson is nobody gets it right all the time. All right. You may think, okay, because this song became a title track to an album that had a couple hits on it, a good name artist, that it was kind of inevitable. People just figure, everyone probably just heard it and loved it. Not the case. Okay. After we finished the song, we liked it. We wanted to demo it. My publishing deal at the time was about to end, and I turned it in because I knew my draw was about to go away, and I didn't want to. I could have held it back. Just not called it finished, whatever. It was it was the last song I turned in, and a big reason why I turned it in, because we talked about, do we want to finish it today or do we want to wait till your deal's up and finish it, whatever. No, let's turn it in. They'll cover the demo costs. They got pluggers. And I was the only one with the publishing deal. Lisa and Bill, independent. So, I was about to be broke. So I let them cover the demo. We like it. We want to demo it. Well, they didn't know exactly what to do with the song, so they declined to demo it. So, they're like, I just don't hear it. We don't want to spend the money on it to demo it. Yeah. And
I love that.
Yeah, thanks. So,
but what a great story that is, because it obviously ended up being a cut, ended up being the name of the record. Like, this is great.
Now they're happy. But I mean, that happens all the time, right? People miss stuff. With Monday Morning Church that I wrote that ended up being a top 5 hit for Alan Jackson. Everybody in town that I could get the song to passed on it, like publishers and stuff. Nobody wanted to, because I was just coming to town going, here, take my publishing and my song. They're like, we don't want it. End up going top 5, right? Nashville's full of those ideas. That's nothing unusual. Every song gets passed on a bazillion times, it seems like. So
there's some really great stories, by the way, of artists who have passed on songs that were pitched to them that were huge hits. I think American Kids was passed on by Lady Antebellum. But it makes sense. It didn't fit their brand.
That's not quite what they do, yeah.
It's not quite what they do. But I love this just for the inspirational part of it, man. Like, Van Halen got passed on by every record label twice.
Yeah.
So did Florida Georgia Line. They're like, this will never work. This will never work. And they changed country music forever. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter. They did it, man. And they did it on their own, and they sold their own stuff, and it came back to them. But everybody told them no first. Yeah. So I love that you persevered on that.
Yeah.
Good,
so the pluggers and the people at the publishing company didn't get it right because they didn't know what to do with it. Again, I understand that it's country. It's kind of funny. We talked about them in my last episode. It's kind of bucking the trends a little bit. Well, they didn't believe it enough to spend more money on it. All right. So, so my publisher was wrong because the song eventually got cut anyway. I was wrong because for the price of 1/3 of a guitar vocal, I could own the publishing on a Joe Nichols cut, and now I don't. So therefore, it looks better on the bio than it does on the bank statement, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm glad to have it cut. That hurts just a little bit. But anyway, so that's the second lesson. No, nobody's, nothing I say is written in red. It's not gospel. Same thing with publishers. Everybody, they all pass on stuff that
Mm-hmm.
So the number 3 lesson though is write with go-getters. Lisa and Bill, go-getters. Because even though they were disappointed that my publisher didn't believe in the song, they were not going to quit on it. They believed in it. They fronted the money, and they did a guitar vocal anyway. They're both self-published. They didn't have a publisher to run to and front the money. They fronted the money themselves, and they went and they hired Kevin Denny and a couple guitar players and got some cricket samples and did a good, clean guitar vocal, something we could pitch. They didn't quit. They were going after it, right? So that's the other thing. I say it a lot. Songwriting is a team sport. You want to build a strong team. So, just like they brought me in, sensing that I would bring value with how to frame the idea and kind of what to do on the song idea part of it. They brought value because they took the lead on the production, guitar vocaling part of it as well. So everyone, Bill brought the idea and everyone brought their thing to it. So that's another thing. Write with go-getters, because it's really hard to get a cut. You want all hands on deck. You want everybody pulling their weight and doing their part to get things done. And so,
and with co-writes, like just on a real quick note, like if you get the go-getters, I mean, you're tripling your exposure on that. Yeah. You're tripling your chances if you got go-getters.
You have 3 people in the case of crickets, working the song, flying his flag around town, playing it for people they can, instead of just one person.
And you sort of have 3 circles of influence too. 3 circles of influence of people who would that normally wouldn't stumble across your song if it was only yours.
Right.
And now and then that brings you were talking about the degrees of separation. All of a sudden that starts to come closer together. So man, that's an important one right there. That's a real important one.
Yeah. And the 4th lesson, do not give up on a quality song. All right, so I mean, so it starts off the beautiful little baby in the writer's room, like, oh, isn't he cute? Look at this little song called Crickets. We like it. You think it's just precious. Then you open the door and you kick it in the hallway, and it starts getting beat with baseball bats. Like
no, this will never work. This will never work.
We don't know what to do with this little baby. I mean, that's cute, but no one's going to take that baby home. And then then you start pitching it, and people are passing. And Crickets was written in August of 2010, and it didn't get cut till summer of 2013. All right, so like 3.5 years later, that it kicked around. Immediately we thought of Joe Nichols. Like, first that was like, okay, this is like a Joe Nichols type song. Let's get it to Joe. And
this fits his brand.
Yeah, but it got passed on by Joe's people. It was put on hold for Luke Bryan at one point, fell off hold. It was put on hold for Easton Corbin for a while, fell off hold. It just, overall, it wasn't getting a lot of love. It got a couple holds, but they fell through. But we just kept on keeping on. Yeah. We didn't give up on it, for years. It's not like I take it to every pitch meeting. I was strategic, and I took it where I thought it had the best chance of fitting, a spot on a record. But yeah, we didn't give up. Didn't forget about it.
Man, I just want to interject for a quick second on that right there. You're being strategic on what songs you're bringing to pitch meetings and what songs you're not.
Yeah.
Because there's been a couple of times. I actually wrote a blog about the 10 biggest demo mistakes. That was probably my second most popular vlog, quite controversial.
Yeah.
I just talked about it from a producer standpoint, but I had a handful of people. I had a very specific artist. Mm-hmm. It was Colin Ray, a multi-million-dollar brand name. He had a very specific brand. Mm-hmm. Okay, Colin is the heartfelt terrier, heart-out balladeer. Mm-hmm. He never sings about drinking or cheating or getting into fights or redneck stuff. Like, he's not that. That's not his vibe. Like, but I had so many. I can think of 3 or 4 writers right now, definitely more on the amateur level. And how do I know they're on the amateur level before I heard the songs? Because I saw the song titles and they sent me everything they ever wrote. Because we had a call, we put up the bat signal, so to speak, because we had a last minute thing. It usually doesn't happen this way, but we had a last minute thing where we had a set of songs we were going to record. The downbeat was on a Monday. This was the Monday prior to when we were going to start cutting the record as producers. And the label's like, yeah, we want two more songs on this. And we're like, all right. So I got to tell everybody, takes them, that was Tuesday. By Thursday, we had 250 songs in my emails. By Friday, we had a regular workload, by the way, mm-hmm. in the studio. And at 7 o'clock, I sat down with Kelly and we got to work on listening to 250 songs, and we wanted to go through every one to honor our artist and mm-hmm. and do what we needed to do. And if you do the math on that, 1 minute and 30 seconds long, which is the first verse, the intro, first verse, and first chorus. If everybody didn't put the epic freaking minute-long intro, that's like 6.25 hours.
Yeah,
we were working all through the night, just doing the A&R shuffle to try to find the songs and whittle those down. And but man, yeah, you know what? There's a whole bunch of crap that if they just listen to one Colin Ray song, they'd be like, no, this isn't. Don't waste the time on it. Don't waste the time. No. So be choosy. Like, know your guy. Like, I'm sorry. It's just a little off topic, but that's really, just from a producer standpoint, when you got to deal with that, sometimes stuff goes sideways like that. That was not a fun night, because if you think about it, that's a Friday. We had to give it to the artist on Saturday mm-hmm. so that he could get comfortable with it on Sunday, so he could come in and cut it on Monday or Tuesday. Right. And choose which ones. Like, we whittled it down to like 18 songs. We figured we knew the 2 songs he would pick. We were spot on which ones he ended up picking. Mm-hmm. And but that was that all had to happen over the weekend.
Yeah. And
then we had to chart them and do, you know what I'm saying? So don't, make sure you're sending stuff that's appropriate, or you look amateur.
You do. And as a sidebar of that, I remember when that happened, because you called me, Brent. I got Colin Ray going in. What you got for Colin?
Yeah,
and there's a couple lessons in that. One, so this is a little sidebar, free value bomb for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the free value bomb.
I know. Boom. Free value bombs for everybody. I know Johnny. Johnny knows me. He respects my work. He called me. You called me, right? So that's the value of relationships. Is not you put out the word, but you probably only called people, called personally off the phone, handful of people that you knew and you trusted that you thought may come through. Now, I didn't land either of those 2 songs. I wish I had, because Colin's awesome. But
oh my God, it's so great.
But I think for what you said, there was one that was kind of in the running that he at least liked. So I went through and tried to find something I thought would have the best chance of fitting him. I didn't want to waste Johnny's time because I knew he was in a hurry, and Kelly was too, and didn't make it. But the fact that I was in the running, hey, I was one of the people they called. There's a lesson in that about relationships.
That's an at-bat.
Right. I didn't have a Colin Ray song, for what he needed at that point in my repertoire that I pitched. That's the name of the game.
There you go.
But Anyway, so some of these lessons, I'll just recap real quick. Value brings opportunity. They invited me in to the writer's room because of something they thought I would bring to the table that would add value to what they already had. 2, nobody
and know your value.
Exactly.
And know your value. You know what your value is. You're a lyricist. You know where you're at and where you're not. You're not trying to be something that you're not.
I'm not carrying a guitar in there and a microphone in the writer's room.
Yeah.
2, nobody gets it right all the time. My publisher at the time didn't know what to do with it. Didn't want to invest in it. That's cool. Thank you. We'll get a cut anyway. And I'm made some mistakes too on that part. 3, write with go-getters. Everybody is pulling their weight. Everybody's bringing their value to the team. 4, don't give up on a quality song. Crickets took about 3.5 years to get cut. It was on hold a couple times and came off hold a couple times. A lot of failure. A lot more failure than success, but you only got to get right once, right? You only got to have one success. I only need that one, yes. And that brings us to number 5. New camps bring new opportunities. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that Joe Nichols was the guy we thought of in the room. Like this would be great for Joe Nichols. This is who is kind of our ideal pitch for this song. Well, I pitched Crickets to Joe's camp several times when he was with Universal South, was his label at the time. Never could get it past my contacts there. It got passed on. All right, dang it. No one got excited about it. Well, I didn't forget about this song. Eventually, Joe left there. He left Universal South, signed a record deal with Redbow Records. Bing, bing.
A new set of ears.
Yeah, he changed producers. He changed record labels. He's got all new people around him. I pulled the song back out and pitched it to his new team. This time, I found receptive ears. And this time, it got cut. So
love it.
I didn't give up just because his other record label passed on it, so I'm not going to try again. No, man. People shifted. New people were around him. That's new opportunity. So I pulled it back out and gave it another shot because I believed in it. I knew it was well written, and I thought it was written well for him. Yeah. And this time it worked.
And you knew it was destined to happen. I love that. And if you keep up with Billboard or there's a number of periodicals that regularly show you the shifts in staff at record labels, and it's freaking daily basis, man. It's like a rotating, it's like a roulette wheel. I mean, so that stuff happens all the time. Yeah. So, you know what? That's a real good point. That is new camp brings new opportunity, new shuffle, new executive shuffle. All of a sudden, bring it back in again. And sometimes, not for nothing, but sometimes you just hit the right person maybe on the wrong day. Yeah. I mean, maybe that guy's dog died earlier that day, and he just doesn't want to hear anything, I played crickets for Joe's old regime a couple times. It wasn't just one and done. Right. So, I tried a couple times. A couple times to get him with a different frame of view, different set of glasses on, different set of ears that day. And sometimes the project shifts. What we were looking for now isn't what we were looking for before. Oh, it's relevant now. It wasn't relevant then. Or, maybe he had more sugar in his coffee. Whatever it was, you know. So, I tried that. I didn't wear him out. Didn't make him mad. Didn't make him dread seeing me. I was patiently persistent, professionally persistent. But then eventually, okay, let's wait. Oh, he changed labels. Great. Let's hit them up. They're like, we love this so much, we want to name the record after it. Exactly. Like, I knew I'd find you guys. There's my beehive. And go give everybody a big hug. But hey, it's all right though, man. So this time it worked. So new camps bring new opportunities. So keep an eye on it, and that brings us to number 7. Number 6. I'm sorry, I can't count. Which do I do? Words, not numbers. Number 6. Pitch your own songs. All right, I blogged about this too at Songwriting Pro about why you should pitch your own songs. The head of Joe's label is a big decision maker for every song on his artist, records. Yeah, I've been hearing that. Oh, you got Benny. He's the guy. He's the owner of the label. He has Jason Aldean's label. That's Jason Aldean, Craig. Awesome. Yeah, different people have been on there. So they have a lot of success. And from what I've been hearing through the grapevine, through personal connections, people, that know stuff, man, Benny's the guy. If Benny's on board with it, it's got to get shot. He's kind of got final say so. And he listens to some songs. I'm like, hey, how do I get Benny's email address? Right. So talk to some pluggers I knew, talk to some people that had his email address. I'd never met Benny. All right. But
I got his email address from a friend. I sent him the song, and I put together a short professional email, which we may talk about in another episode. Email etiquette. And just said, hey, basically, I'm Brent Baxter. I've had, Top 5 with Alan Jackson, Monday Morning Shirts. I had songs recorded by Randy Travis. The little blurb kind of that Johnny gives you at the beginning. And I have a song I think would be great for Joe Nichols. I've attached it. Thank you very much. Bye. Boom. In and out. Sweet. Boom. Attached song and the lyric gone. I'm not telling him the whole life story. I'm not telling him how we wrote it. What
the song is about. Like,
no.
My grandma died and I had this happen and then we wrote the song.
Because like I tell people, if the song is terrible, the story behind it doesn't matter. If the song is great, the story behind it doesn't matter.
That's right.
So there you go. So he called. So I pitched it directly to the head of the label, and I know, John, just let that have a moment. That's another value bomb. That's tweetable.
I'm just thinking about sometimes when how the band plays around with that, because we always joke about it in the studio. So before we press record we're doing song demos, which happens like once a month, Like, so anyway, my dog was, and all of a sudden you're just, we're rolling. Like, you just hear the band come back over the top. I was like, we're rolling. Like, just cut you off and get going with a downbeat. It's so funny because it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. That maybe.
All right. After it's a hit, maybe people care about the story behind it, but until it's no.
Then it's colorful.
Exactly. Yeah. So I sent the email directly to the head of the label, which not every head of the label. That's special circumstance. I did my research. Oh, that's a proper point of contact, and he does listen, and you can email him, and that's not always the case. It's usually not the case. But in that case, did my research. All right, sent a professional email, and he actually called me later. Phone ring. This is Brent. Hey, this is Benny. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Are you sending somebody to kill me for sending you an email? No, in fact, we like the song.
Yeah, no. He's like, hey, I really dig this song for Joe. I think he's going to love it. I want to put it on hold for him. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a call that was.
I know. It's like, So that pitch your own songs, because like I mentioned before, the label didn't, or not the label, but my publisher wasn't sure what to do with it. We sent them the guitar vocal after it was done, but I don't know if they pitched it. I don't know. But considering they didn't really know what to do with that, I doubt they pitched it very much. My co-writers were pitching it. It's a real good thing I pitched it that day, Yep. So all hands on deck. Everybody, it takes a village, man, to get a cut. Everybody can get working, so you definitely need to be working.
That's right. And number 7.
Number 7, last one. The right outside song can still get cut. That happened with that. Case in point. And, none of the writers were in the artists, the labels, or the producers' inner circles. All right. My publisher didn't leverage influence to get a cut. None of us are like big time writers. We've all had some success, some cuts. We're all professional, but we're not like, oh my goodness, I see that Baxter name on that CD. I'm going to run it in already. It's on hold before I even listen to it. We're just not in that crew. Right. So, but we wrote the right song and we got to the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, it's a small keyhole you're trying to aim. It's small bullseye. It's not easy, but, we're blessed we were able to pull it off. So,
right on.
It definitely helps to, write with the artist, write with the producer and all that stuff. And I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point in the future. But, hey, man, if you got the right song and you keep at it and it fits, you just may end up with that cut.
That's right. That's right, and keep at it. I mean, that's a couple of years. I mean, I'll wrap this up and just say that I talk to so many writers that are in my community, and I feel like a lot of them sort of look at it as because we all have artist doubt, and they look at it like a lemonade stand because that gives them an out emotionally and in the vulnerability department. And so I'm going to buy these lemons here for 50 cents, and then I'm going to spend 20 minutes of my time making lemonade. I'm going to sell them over here for $2.50. I'm going to make $2. And when I do that, I'm going to do it again. And it's like, no, it just doesn't work that way, or it rarely works.
So you mean like instant gratification? Yeah,
like you're not going to, I'm not going to stick my toe in the water, and if this song here makes some money, I'm going to do it. You just got to be writing. You've got to be writing. I mean, one of my favorite writers in town, who's a producer and a dear friend of mine, is we were just at lunch today, David Norris, and he's Grammy nom and producer, and he still hasn't blown up as a writer like with any big cuts, right? He's gotten a lot of good stuff out there, kind of in the lower levels, but he hadn't gotten that big cut yet with that big name artist. And a lot of people in town pulling for him, but he's got 3,000 songs.
Yeah.
He writes 200 songs a year.
Wow.
Like, he's a monster.
Yeah.
You know, a monster. And when that happens, when he gets that one cut, it's going to be the 10, 13, we were talking about. You're a 13-year overnight sensation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's going to, because he just came into a little bit of money. He's going to be able to demo up a bunch of these songs that he couldn't afford to demo before. And he's going to get a plugger back there. He's going to put a little bit of money behind it and try to get it going and try to get some revenue happening. But when he gets that one hit and that little bit of light shines on him, all those songs are going to become valuable. But he's got all those songs.
Yeah.
You know, and so you've just got to work, because let's face it, you're not writing to pay the bills. You're writing because you love to write.
Yeah.
And you're writing because you have to, or you're going to explode from the inside out of something, you know, of creativity or frustration or, you know, whatever. But I wasn't an artist because I thought I was going to start Google and change the world. You know, when I was an artist because I had to do it. Like, since I was in 6th grade, like, that's all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I could ever think about. That and girls. That was it.
Yeah, and one helps with the other.
Yeah, that's right. It clearly all came together. Like, in high school, it really came together swimmingly. But, you know, it's because you love it. And so just keep doing it and just work. The more you work, the better you learn, the more you flex that muscle, you get more in shape. And then get into the nuances that we're talking to on this podcast and really start to dig down in the business of it, and you're going to get some.
Yeah, and, you know, all those songs I wrote with Lisa, you know, most of which haven't been cut, but they help build my value with her as a co-writer. Yep. And that's what helped open the door for her to feel comfortable going, hey, Bill, let's have this guy Brent come in. Yep. Okay.
Whenever you're working and you're being creative, I mean, you're moving forward.
Exactly. You're building your worth and your value and your personal brand as a writer.
Yeah, that's right. And the more that you can do that, the more that they really become in tune with what your value is. Mm-hmm. And the more they see, like, let's call Brent for this. This would be great for him, you know. And yeah, man, I love that story. So, well, that brings us to the end of episode 15.
That's right.
And of the Climb. And Brent, you got something special going on here. What do you got for these fine folks?
I got, you know, a little bit going on. This summer, I've been blessed to be asked to be that was a long lead up sentence. But anyway, I'm going to be the featured teacher at NSAI's Song Camp 2016. So they asked me to come in and teach all 3 days for like an hour and a half each day. It comes up in July. So NSAI is Nashville Songwriters Association International. Great organization. I've done a lot of teaching and stuff for them. But they said, Brent, we like what you do. You've taught at other stuff. Come on in. Be like the main faculty guy for all these songwriters that are going to come into town. And we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about, you know, developing song ideas. We're going to talk about just all sorts of stuff. And there'll be other teachers there as well. Hit songwriters are going to come in and talk to you, have lunch with you. This will be really cool. So if you're in Nashville in July, or you want to come into Nashville in July, come by and see us. You can sign up and get your spot at NashvilleSongwriters.com. And if you're a blog reader, if you're ever come to my other workshops, or you listen to the podcast, man, I would love for you to come up and say hi, and, you know, so I can get a picture with you or something. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm stoked about it. So I get to teach for a couple hundred songwriters.
That's cool. I mean, again, this is a situation where if you're from out of town, if you're from a small town and you're trying to figure out how to crack the code to get in the inner circle of Nashville, it starts with making relationships and bringing your talent and showing your value and showing your worth. And there's no better way to do that than NSAI.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great way to meet a lot of people. I was just over there this past week when Bailey James was in town, and she was writing in there with Steve O'Brien, who got 2 cuts on her EP. Cool. And Steve's got a couple big hits, and you just never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and make some friends. And man, what a great little place for outside people to come, where they're welcomed.
Yeah.
Come in, learn, sit at the hands of a master who's got cuts, ask questions, have that kind of proximity, have that kind of access. This is how you break in. This is how you start to make friends and get some real honest feedback on what you're missing.
Yep.
What you need to work on. You know, so what's that website one more time?
It's NashvilleSongwriters.com. And it's
NashvilleSongwriters.com.
Yep, it's NSAI Song Camp 2016. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, with that brings us to the end of the episode. You guys, thanks so much for tuning into The Climb, and keep on climbing.
Adios. See you at the top.
Adios.